So now let me give you guys updates on what's been going on with the revolution. So ideas and others that people wrote in with. Bloated Ego has an interesting little idea. Since there's no Rebel HQ on this site, it's on YouTube. He's referring to our website. I would suggest on the show's page to eliminate the Rebel HQ banner and replace it with a Peaceful Revolution banner and post all the revolution and bonus episodes and interviews about this there. So they are going to start being published on TYT.com, these clips. So in a sense, mission accomplished. You had an idea, boom, we're gonna do it, okay? How responsive is that to the American people? Now, Chris Needs Hope had an idea for a game. Well, that's fun. Watching the damage report, an idea struck me. The Epstein files, the MBS at the White House, ICE arrests in Charlotte, and Fox News' ridiculous propaganda about the dangerousness of the related anti-ICE protests really hammers home how obviously the American government wields criminal activity as a cudgel. And closer examination reveals all the systemic problems that were once more subtle. Could we make a game of this? Pick the criminal or whose worst type of game that could result in funny answers and facts. Like an immigrant managing a food cart versus a pardoned white collar criminal. Real names, real situations, and a very real conclusion that is obnoxiously, toxically hilarious. I instantly like the idea. Because you're right, like oftentimes there'll be a story in the news and they'll be like, oh, this is outrageous. Look at what this person did. They stole 50, no, like literally when they choked Eric Garner to death, they said that he was selling loose cigarettes. And a lot of the people in this country were like, no, that's a $2 to $3 offense. So the cops killing him would made sense. Then in other case, there was a $20 fake bill, and they're like, oh, $20. Oh yeah, that's another thing that should be like a death sentence, right? Meanwhile, white collar criminals are stealing like hundreds of millions of dollars, and Donald Trump's handing out pardons like it's candy, right? And everybody's like barely notices, no big deal. So where's the real problems in the country? Where's the real problems? The Doge is like, oh, okay, we eliminated $13 in fraud. And we eliminated all foreign aid that helps people that have malaria or AIDS or cancer, helps hungry children. We eliminated all. Of course, we took a lot of that money and gave it in extra money to Israel to commit a genocide. But you see how good we are. Okay, and we saved $13 doing that. It seems like you mainly reapportioned the money. Okay, and how about the $35 billion in oil subsidies? They're right there. Why don't you end them? Nope, I don't see them. What do you mean you don't see them? They're right there. They're the most profitable companies. Why would we give them the money? Nope, I'm gonna give it to them. All right, well, look good. We got at least agreement to cut the Defense Department. Nope. I said I was going to, I lied. Instead, I'm gonna add $150 billion in pork to the Defense Department. Oh, golly gee, I cannot find where the corruption is. I cannot find where the waste, fraud, and abuse is. It's in the Pentagon. The defense contractors are robbing us blind. They don't make weapons, they make robberies. They're in the robbery business. It's like an engine of robbing. They just rob us endlessly, okay? Oh, but Washington Post can't see it. They're like, oh, I'm flummoxed. Where's the fraud and abuse? I can't tell. And then the Doge and the government's like, I can't tell either. Golly gee, let's take money away from people who have AIDS. Anyway, so how can we turn that into a game? I don't know. So he continues, by the way. It's a real life version of those hypothetical Q&A games that friends play in probably psychological experiments. Like the house is on fire, do you save one family member or three strangers? Can be a morality game. How do you compare to an American politician? Oof, that's even more devastating. Because like a normal person would be like, oh, preserve the SNAP benefits so people aren't hungry, children in the country aren't hungry. Normal politicians like, no, take that same money and give it in tax cuts to the rich. Like if you do this, if we were to be able to execute this game, and when I say we, I mean you guys, somebody come up with it, somebody come up with a website. If you can, that would be amazing, right? That would be an amazing game. And it would show you how callous and disgusting and immoral 95% of our politicians are. Right, Sin, lastly, I hope this makes sense because I feel very angry right now. Thank you, TYT. You are my rock, my compass, my inspiration. Thank you for all that you do. But Chris, you're part of that, man. So we do this together. So we are the Young Turks together. I say it all the time. We're not the Young Turks. You're the Young Turks. So I love that you're thinking and trying to find constructive solutions. Pessimistic progressive almost never lives up to his name. Always comes up with ideas and is secretly, I think, optimistic. And I'm calling you out, pessimistic progressive. Anyway, he has an idea for a public art project. He says, I have an idea for a public art project that we could do by itself or maybe in partnership with the launch of CorruptionWatch .us website. Everyone jokes about how Congress should wear NASCAR-style jackets that will, with all their top donors patched on. Well, what if we actually did that? We crowdfund and purchased a bunch of jackets and labeled them with each senator and then put patches that correspond to the size of their top donors. For people like Bernie that don't take PAC money, we leave it blank or put something like funded by the people or open to other ideas. We hang it outside the halls of Congress as an art display and use the attention to direct visitors to the site when it's ready for prime time. This might force some news agencies to actually talk about it. You know what, and they've got a picture here, but you know, pessimistic progressive, you actually gave me a slightly different idea based off of that, right? So, and our project's good, and you know, the one where Donald Trump and Epstein are the statue that keeps popping up, and they're holding hands and running through the fields. That's gotten a good amount of attention, so this might work in a similar way. But what we could also do is we could systematically create AI versions. So, but AI not to trick people, but to get the real sponsors and donors, like you said, proportional to how much they've given. So it'll be like AIPAC on like 90% of Congress. But yeah, put those patches on them and have them like, kind of like the AIPAC tracker. So you could always tell, oh, this is how much money they took from the Israeli lobby. Anybody can go to the donor tracker or whatever and pull up the picture of their particular congressman or senator and see what they look like as a NASCAR driver of corruption. And they are a driver of corruption, so it makes sense. These ideas are great. Look, it's hard to execute, but we've begun to execute some of them. And I'm telling you, out of these ideas, some of you are gonna begin to execute them in beautiful ways. And I can't wait to report on that. In fact, I have breaking news here. I am being told that if anyone wants to help make that first game that we talked about with the different morality, etc., that you should email hope@tyt.com, hope@tyt.com. But also, Galfer will be host playing it on Discord. We have a Discord channel for TYT, and so they're going to try to play that game. How fun is that? Okay, so there we go. We're doing something interesting. All right, one last one, I think. Yeah. Arpon wrote in about how CorruptionWatch.us is going. That's a corruption website that we're building, and Arpon's had a huge part in it. But he says Dustin and Eddie, Operation Hope volunteers, are really good coders. Dustin has finished transferring all the Stanford site data to the database. Now he's just refining it to remove the bugs. Once this is done, we should be pretty close to making the site live on CorruptionWatch.us. Guys, that's beautiful. Now more and more people are working together, making a better and better site. And so hopefully we'll have that up soon. So that's the site that tries to match the donors with the bills for the congressman. So Cory Booker has these donors and he voted on these bills. Now, do they match? Okay, spoiler alert, they do. But our job is to prove that through a site like CorruptionWatch.us. Arpon's been a huge part of building that. And now Eddie and Dustin are helping from Operation Hope. And this is how we collaborate to bring a little bit better world. And now I have an update for you guys from us. Henry, that's another, again, an Operation Hope volunteer, has been organizing people by state and has started getting people over to the planning room to get to work. The Operation Hope volunteers are currently working on ways people can be a part of the revolution by state. If you want to be a state captain or to just join a state, head over to tyt.com/hope to the green button and join the working group and join the planning room. Okay, so tyt.com/hope is the main home base or hope base. And then you could go to discuss.tyt.com or join the working group or the planning room and make sure that you're involved at state level in trying to create the change that we're looking for in the world.